It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the two movies released on February 20th, 2009. Not a very good weekend for movies in general, but we do have at least one movie that was really kind of a surprise in general. But before we get to that one, let's talk about the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is the latest film starring Tyler Perry as the character Medea. Medea Goes to Jail. So this is kind of a continuation from Meet the Browns, where, Medea had a cameo in that movie. And in this film, it's her going to prison for her uncontrollable anger management problems as she befriends a young incarcerated prostitute played by Little Rudy, Keisha Napoleon from The Cosby Show, whom an assistant district attorney played by, I thought I saw the name before, Derek Luke, who plays him. The character, I was looking at the character name, but not the person playing it, but it's Derek Luke, who was just in Notorious not too long ago. The assistant district attorney, she's known since college. And, it's pretty much another one of those movies where even though Medea is in the title of the movie, she's more kind of relegated to a supporting role. Meanwhile, we're mainly focusing on, Keisha Napoleon, which, I mean, I gotta give her credit. I like the fact that she didn't just she actually did go on to become more than just the child actress from the Cosby Show. She has been starring in movies where she's been getting bigger roles, like this and Beauty Shop. So I guess that's one thing that's kind of working towards the film overall. It's kind of a good cast overall. You got Viola Davis, Vanessa Felito, Sofia Vergara, Ian Overman. I mean, there's a lot of good people in here, and like I said, I'm not the biggest Medea aficionado, and in fact, I wouldn't even say that any of these Medea movies are that great, but then again, I really don't know much about the character as a whole, but, Tyler Perry has a built-in audience that will go to these movies, and sure enough, this thing was a massive hit. I mean, it's interesting when you look at the numbers, 90 million worldwide, even though this had a $40 million opening weekend. The fact that it only made $50 million between the time it was released and by the time it got out of theaters, and also keep in mind that this was a movie that did not get a worldwide release. Like, if you go on to Box Office Mojo, it's just the domestic numbers and not the fact that, this had like a worldwide, it says on Wikipedia's page it's 90 million worldwide, but if you look on Box Office Mojo, there's no international numbers there whatsoever. So all that money made for this movie is coming from here in the U.S. So, like I said, there is a built-in audience that will come to these movies no matter what, or at least back then they did, because Tyler Perry had such a name, a name that people who knew him were very familiar with, so they kept coming to these movies. For someone like me who hasn't really been catching up with Tyler Perry overall, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's just a film that I really don't have much of a personal interest in, per se, because I've never been invested in the stuff that Tyler Perry had done at that point. So I don't really know much about Medea. All I know is that, she's on the same level as somebody like a Big Mama from Big Mama's House, or Tootsie from Tootsie, Mrs. Doubtfire, that type of thing. But, I mean, I don't know what else to really say about this movie, per se. Like I said, it isn't terrible by any means necessary. It's just kind of it's there. It's going to appease the audience that it's intended for. And meanwhile, newcomers, I don't think are really going to get that much invested into it. But I think even at to a certain point, once these movies kept going on and on and on, I think the people that were so built in with the Tyler Perry fandom started to get sick and tired of it at a point too. But not right now, because this was actually the most successful movie released with the Medea name attached to it. And I think it still is Tyler Perry's most successful movie, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, yeah, like I said, it's not made for me, but for the audience that's going for it, they're definitely going to get a kick out of it. So what am I going to say to that? So let's go ahead and get to that big surprise, a movie that I did not think, and I don't think anybody really thought was going to be any good. And I think most people do think that, but I don't know, I kind of enjoyed Fired Up. I think John Michael Higgins there kind of summed up my thoughts on this movie. I like it. I mean, that's pretty much how I feel about this movie in general. It's a film where it's just kind of like, I shouldn't like this movie, but in the end, yeah, I thought it was actually kind of good, even though I will admit, the fact that it's a raunchy comedy and it's only going for a PG-13 rating, I think kind of misses the point of what they're trying to accomplish here. I mean, hell, Bring It On was much more raunchier and more risque than this movie is, but why did it work for me? Well, the story here is basically that you have two popular high school football players. One of them is played by Eric Christian Olsen, who the last time he was in a movie in high school, he was Lloyd from the Dumb and Dumber prequel, When Harry Met Lloyd, which basically tells you that yeah, these two would never pass as high school students at this point. The other one's Nicholas DeGusto, who they decide that these are football players who decide to attend a cheerleading camp for the summer to get close to its 300 female cheerleaders, aka to sleep with nearly every one of them. As the poster literally says, 2 guys, 300 girls. You do the math. Yeah, 150. I do the math. 150 girls each time that will tell you no, hard pass, no, no, no. But like I said, this is a movie that looked like it was primed for failure. It was being dumped in February. It's a movie that's supposed to be a raunchy sex comedy, but it's PG-13. Like, I mean, you've seen this. We've seen this movie done before so many times. The concept has been done so many times before. What was it that made this movie something that I would say it's actually kind of good? Well, for one thing, the director of this movie is Will Gluck. Now, Will Gluck is a name you may be familiar with, but you've seen a movie that he's been involved in. This is the guy that did Easy A. He did Friends with Benefits. He did the Annie remake, which I really like the Annie remake. I like the Peter Rabbit movies. The only one I don't like of his movies is Anyone But You, but that's the one that was the big box office hit because of, Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney. But, just because you have 2 of the hottest stars in a movie doesn't make it a good movie, and I did not like that movie one bit, and I wish that those 2 would fire the people that's picking their scripts for them. But plug for my other video: Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney, Ariana DeBose, 3 great actors, really bad movie choices. Check it out in the corner. But with all that said, why does this movie work? I mean, it works because everybody in here is kind of fun to watch. There's a really solid cast all across the board in this movie. I mentioned DeAugusto and Olsen, but you also have Sarah Romer, Molly Sims, David Walton, who's a great character actor, Annalyn McCord from 90210, Adair Kalon from Rules of Engagement, Julia Golia, Haley Marie Norman from Deal or No Deal, Margot Harshman, Danielle Harris, John Michael Higgins, Philip Baker Hall, Edie McClure. I mean, just a ton of really, really good, funny people in this movie, and I think the film is fully aware of what it's trying to be. And I think if you know what you're doing, and you know what is being put up on screen, I think you can make a good movie out of it. And it's a good movie, but it definitely falters on a couple things. One, obviously the raunchy sex comedy aspect, because it's a PG-13 movie, and really a PG-13 raunchy sex comedy very rarely works. In fact, actually, I might have to do some research on that. I'm trying to think, what's the one PG-13 raunchy sex comedy that's actually worked? I'm sure there is one out there. I just can't think of it right now. But what is it? But on the other hand, the other thing is that the jokes are very predictable. I mean, you can pretty much tell what the end result is going to be. But like I said, sometimes the jokes can be really funny. I mean, the bit at the end there with him doing the naked cheerleading bit, that's kind of humorous. I mean, that is kind of funny how they're doing that. But yeah, and like I said, it's because they have a lot of good, talented people in front of the camera to make it work. The cast overall is very solid. And yeah, once in a while you do get a funny joke here and there. And I think the movie is fully aware of what kind of a film it is. And I think it is because of the power of the director, Will Gluck, who has made a lot of good movies rather than bad ones. I mean, of the movies I listed there, 6 of them are really good movies. And that's that one movie. 6 out of 1 ain't a bad thing whatsoever. This is a guy that has a lot of good talent as far as a filmmaker goes. But yeah, besides that though, it's nothing grand or amazing in general. But if you're just looking for a movie that's just a good fun time overall, and it's a film that actually you want to see because of the people involved in it, it's worth checking out. It's definitely a film that you have to go into it with the right mindset. You have to know what kind of a movie it is. Yeah, it's not a good concept of a raunchy sex comedy. I mean, like I said, Bring It On was a much better example of that. I mean, they took that level to the extreme, the PG-13 level to the extreme with that one. And that was a movie that worked because it had mass appeal. It wasn't just targeting the teenage girls. I mean, it's a movie you can watch no matter what sex you are, no matter no matter if you're a guy or a girl, if you're gay or straight. Like, that's a movie that just works on so many levels. And just, this movie felt like they were trying to copy that, but they kind of failed at that because they were more restricted compared to what Bring It On was able to do 10 years prior. But it's a movie that works. It's a movie that I think works overall. I'm probably the only person that will probably agree with that, but I did kind of enjoy this movie. I think it is a very enjoyable film. It's definitely a lot better than I think a lot of people give it credit for. So, I recommend checking it out. Fire it up. And so, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, not another good weekend in general. We have the Jonas Brothers with the 3D concert experience from Disney because, hey, if Hannah Montana can make it work the year before, so could the Jonas Brothers, right? Well, not so much. But we also have the infamously bad Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, the movie that makes the '94 Street Fighter movie look like a cinematic classic by comparison. So, like I said, not a very good week for new movies coming up next week, but we'll check that out tomorrow on the show. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But with all that said, though, thank you so much for watching. And if you did enjoy this video and want to see more like it, please go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page. Right there. Check out the previous episode. And then also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell. That's where you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post new videos here every day. And don't go too far away because coming up on Time About the Movies Flashback, we're flashing back to Memorial Day weekend 1987. And we have 2 movies on that show, but they are certainly a lot better than Madea Goes to Jail and Fired Up. We've got Beverly Hills Cop 2 and also The Chipmunk Adventures. So we will take a look at those movies on Time About the Movies Flashback, which will be coming up after I post this web. So stick around because we will be back.